All right.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to our Wednesday night Find Out Live show. We have a very big one tonight. We have two very big guests with us. We have Tim Whitaker from the New Evangelicals, who is with us. And we also have Lev Parnas from Lev Remembers. That's your podcast, I believe. And you may know him from some of the old hits like the Hunter Biden laptop and Burisma and Donald Trump and all this stuff. And he has joined forces with the good guys now. So it's great to see both of you tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Pumped.
So I'm going to go to Lev first because Lev, I think we were supposed to do a podcast episode today, and you got caught up in some other stuff. Why? Can you tell everybody what you were caught up with today?
Yeah, so crazy stuff. So one of the things that I platform on my on Love Remembers is not only talking truth to power to stuff that Donald Trump does, but also I talk about Ukraine and I talk about Venezuela. But I also talk about the Epstein files, the Epstein survivors, which is a very important subject because not only just as a father, as a husband, as a son, and as just a human being, of humanity, I think it's extremely important to make sure that we get justice for the survivors and accountability for all these pedophiles and these, whatever you want to call them all over the world. But it's also important thing that I've been talking about because somebody that's been a part of Mega, I was there from the beginning. I helped build Mega. So I know how it moves, how it shapes, I know how they breathe. And the one thing I do understand, and I've been telling from when it actually happened, July 6th, when Pam Bondi came out and tried to bury them, I said,
Right.
that's what's going to take Donald Trump down. And that's the one thing that our country is united on, the world is united on, over 80 something percent, everybody. And the one thing that Mega is divided on and cracked about and basically wants to release. So as unfortunate as a lot of things that are happening, and we see obviously, and I say her name, Renee Nicole Good, say her name every day,
Yep.
and as terrible as we see what's going on all over the world, the massacres in the Middle East, as far as what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, Venezuela, at home, ICE, terrible. The problem is all of those subjects are partisan subjects, any one of them, and they shouldn't.
Right.
The fact that right now we're arguing with people in Congress and Senate and real supposedly that watch the same video and they're trying to tell us it's something that it's not. But the one thing that does unite us is the Epstein file. So I've been a very big push. I've been with Congressman Rokan and Massey, behind the scenes with Congressman Raskin, pushing to make sure whatever we could do and using my sources to keep the Epstein files in the front line. So it's 9 days since, or 10 days. I don't even know. It's already the 14th since we Congress has come back in session. The Epstein files have been like on the back burner because a lot of other stuff has been going on, and we have a community, a group on Substack, and that's where I do most of my reporting and work on. We're basically of independent journalists, independent investigative journalists that have been sifting through all of these Epstein dump, all of these DOJ dump, all of the family, and finding constantly new information. And yesterday they found some really, really big blockbuster information, and they sent it to me because it had to do with somebody that is supposed to be on our side,
Hmm.
like you said, the good side. Somebody that is supposed to be out there, that's out there every day screaming, "Release the files!" Talking about the truth needs to come out, the survivor needs. About to come out, and then at the end of the day, I found out it was Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen, somebody that is out there that even I did a co-host show with him on Substack. We had a show together called Unleashed, me, Michael Cohen, and Malcolm Nance, until the Epstein files came into effect, which started kind of dividing us. Then I started seeing his reactions with Tara Palmieri, his attacks on other independent journalists and investigators for asking questions. I started doing some of my own investigative journalism and asking some of my own sources, and we got one of the things that was we found like that needle in the haystack we found this letter basically that was dumped by the DOJ. And that letter is an internal letter between the DOJ. I don't know if you guys have it, and if you want to put it up there for the people to see, you could look at my Substack and you'll see it's up there all over the place.
Yeah,
Today
that's the best place for folks to go, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's Lev Remembers, right? That's your Substack?
Yeah, it's Lev Parnas, but Lev Remembers is the platform.
Right.
So the letter basically between two ASUAs, assistant U.S. attorneys for the Southern District of New York, discussing a phone call that they received from Michael Cohen's lawyer. And the conversation goes something like that. I don't have that in front of me, but basically one of them saying that Michael Cohen's lawyer called, and he's talking about that he has information and he's looking for a Rule 35. A Rule 35 is basically when a person is already convicted and is already serving time, and he wants to get out, and he has information, let's say, on some other crime or some other convicts. They go out and they tell the government what they have, and if the government's able to have convictions, the government's able to proceed, then they write a letter to the judge to be able to get it out. But there has to be really some serious evidence. So here in this letter, Michael Cohen, basically his lawyers are saying to the attorneys that Michael Cohen has information about Donald Trump and Epstein that he wants to talk to you about to get a Rule 35. And that's some huge news because, Michael Cohen's out there every day saying he never even heard of Epstein, knows nothing about it, plays the game. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to cover or play games. This is extremely serious. The survivors need justice, and you need to answer the questions. What were you going to bargain with? What were you going to give them? What information were you planning on giving him? Tell the world. And he's been avoiding me. Hasn't confronted, so I went live basically, and now I'm ringing the bell and saying, listen, we need the truth out there, and if we can't get like look what's happening. People think Donald Trump. See, I know Donald Trump really well. Donald Trump is sitting there right now, and I've spoken to people on the inside laughing because of what happened in the past couple of days between Michael Cohen pretending he doesn't know what's going on with this dump, and Bill Clinton not showing up to the subpoena. How you doing? If you guys think you're going to see something from DOJ or and the problem is he's using that to unite MAGA now. Right. We have such a crack of MAGA because the one thing that you could unite MAGA that like nothing else is to Bill Clinton Bill and Hillary Clinton and Michael Cohen. It's like you hit the jackpot and you're having him with Epstein. So that's what we were dealing with today, most of the day.
Yeah. So just to reiterate to the crew, you have uncovered an email from Michael Cohen's attorneys to the assistant U.S. attorneys of the Southern District, which is the district in New York where most of the financial crimes are prosecuted, and most of the heavy crimes in the United States are prosecuted at the federal level. That there's an email, Michael Cohen offering information about Donald Trump related to Jeffrey Epstein. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. 100%.
And
Michael Cohen is basically continuously doesn't want to confront anybody about it. He's saying that it's all lies. He has nothing to say, and is basically moving on.
So do you think Michael's language is consistent with someone who signed a non-disclosure agreement, or
I'm sorry, I was coughing. What were you saying again, Chris?
Do you think that Michael A could have signed a non-disclosure agreement with Trump, or B, this might be covered by attorney-client privilege and he would not be able to talk about this?
Neither one of those is the case, but even if they were the case, he would have then said that. Like if there was an attorney-client privilege, he would have said, "Listen, I can't discuss it. We have attorney-client privilege." But he blew all of the attorney-client privileges when he taped Trump to begin with, and had all those tapes in his office, testified against him. So Michael Cohen, and he has no disclosures against Donald Trump. This is the whole thing. This is why I'm calling out. It doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter if you're left, you're right, you're blue, you're black, you're peach, your religion. The truth is the truth, folks. It has, it doesn't matter. It has to be equal to everybody. I mean, it's like when Rudy Giuliani said, "Your truth is not my truth." I mean, really, like we can have
Right.
different truths. I'll never forget that. The truth is not the truth. So what I'm saying to you guys is this: the bottom line is Michael Cohen. It's one thing if he was sitting there somewhere, nobody knows where he's at, like this guy Acosta, you can't find him, and we're trying to get information, and the guy's trying to keep quiet. That's one thing. It's another thing when you're out there every day preaching that you're out there saving democracy. You're out there, for the survivors. You're out there against Donald Trump. You're out there doing this. You're making a lot of money doing this. I mean, let's understand, you got all these followers that are spending lots of money subscribing to you, doing this, buying your books, rallying behind you, and you go out there and you talk about that there's nobody better than you that knows Donald Trump. And then at the end of the day, as soon as it hits the Epstein files, all of a sudden you don't know anything. I see nothing, I hear nothing. It's like those three monkeys, you know what I mean? And then when you sit there, just think about this. This is what really gets me. I always say to people, be careful what you ask for because you're going to get. So Michael Cohen sits there and screams, demanding, we need to see all the Epstein files. We need to see the Epstein files because we can't assume anything, right? So here we are. The first dump, 1% of all these Epstein files, and even that small percentage, we have Michael Cohen, not once, but twice. 2 emails. One email from Epstein, text message to Congresswoman Plaskin, talking about Michael Cohen. How does Epstein? He's not talking about Donald Trump. Think about that, folks. Michael Cohen's trying to divert, say, Plaskin speaking to Epstein. Yeah, she's getting information about you. How does Epstein know you, Michael, if you've never met him, never spoken? That's the first one. Second one is there's a letter from your attorney telling the the attorneys in New York saying that you have pertinent information big enough to be able should get you out of prison about Epstein and Trump. So what is it? It's simple. It's black and white. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, Liv. So Trump sort of was doing this before he came back into office about releasing the files. If Michael was, and I believe you that he's in the files, why would he say release the files? Is it just because he didn't think they'd ever come out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, that boy, the guy that stands there, doesn't want, but says, hold me back.
Right.
They're pretending like, don't let me go. If you let me go, that's my Cohen, because he understands that, listen, we sometimes, because time goes by, people forget who people are. Yes, there are redemption stories, and we could talk with that, but Michael Cohen is no redemption story. Michael Cohen today if Donald Trump turned around and went like this, Michael Cohen would be on the other side, taking a bullet for him as long as he got a pardon. And that's what's it called? People just don't pay attention. Why? Because Michael, the media, that bullshit media, excuse me for my French, made him a celebrity and a hero during this Stormy Daniels trial. He was their star witness. There was, so they blew him up to such a degree where people got blinded by it. But if you really take a look and look a little bit into Michael Cohen, for somebody that knows Donald Trump so well, that's been his fixer for 14 years, that done such terrible things by attacking people and doing all kinds of, he has never divulged any other information about Donald Trump except for the one thing is the Stormy Daniels situation. And that's because he's pissed off he went to prison for it. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be talking about that. Tell me one of the things he talks about. Everything else, he talks to Donald Trump. If we talk about that he's having dementia, he says, no, Donald Trump is sharp as a whistle. You talk about Donald Trump, in case he says, the cases aren't good again. I mean, it's like you really need to take a look. But because people have a short memory and they remember that Michael Cohen testified against Donald Trump, people, end up, and, I don't play that game.
Yeah. Well, for the naysayers, because I'm sure you're going to get asked this question,
Sure,
you used to have a show together. So what was the reason for that? Was this the reason for that split? Because I think people would say, well, you're saying all these things, but you were in business with him. What was
it wasn't a
sorry, you had a show together, but
we didn't have a business together.
Yeah.
We had a show we would do on Substack together. It was me, him, and Malcolm Nance. And and listen, the beauty of the show is that me and Michael, as we're two insiders, but we didn't agree on everything.
Yep.
And the show was a spicy. It was called Unleashed, and we would talk about all different subjects until the Epstein files came up. And when the Epstein files came up, he started acting weird. And I know Michael Cohen for 40 years, and I'm like, wait a second, something's wrong. Something doesn't add up. So one day, I'm all of a sudden watching these lives, and I see Michael Cohen doing a live interview with Tara Palmieri. I jumped in to see because they said breaking Epstein files. So on this live, all of a sudden Cohen starts, trying to pretend that him and Tara are best friends, and this gonna be together. Subscribe to us. This whole spiel, and I see Tara turning around saying, "Wait a second, Michael. I have some questions for you." And she starts hitting him with questions like, "Oh, what do you know about Katie Johnson? What do you know about this time?" And all the things that I was curious to know also, because this is the stuff that I think he's lying about. And I see him starting to attack Tara, and I'm like, wait a second, what is going on here? So this was somewhere around right before Christmas time. And I stopped basically doing Unleash with him. I had a conversation and told him that, listen, until you go, I'm not going to come defend you on this stuff until you come deal with it. So his response to me was, it's going to die down. Don't worry about it. The holidays are over. We'll deal with it.
So to be clear, he didn't deny or confirm. He just basically punted.
Yeah,
right?
just basically punted. And so that got me even more pissed off. So here, then, as this story, I call this, you guys got some special story time with Lev. I usually do this. I do this on my podcast. We go back story time. But anyway, so now it's Christmas time, or it was like around Christmas time, around New Year's, somewhere around there. And all of a sudden, I find out, and keep in mind, I was at the time, I know the Midas guys. I don't know if you know the Midas guys, Ben and the brothers. I know them very well. I know them from the beginning. My son Aaron started out with them. I don't know if you guys know my son Aaron Parnas. Yeah. So they're all in that independent journalist stuff. I don't consider myself independent journalist. I'm an insider. I'm a guy that was on the inside that's telling you shit that nobody knows about, that they're reporting on. So finally, me and Michael are having this rift, and all of a sudden I get a call from my sister telling me, "You're never gonna believe this. Michael Cohen just announced that he is doing a special interview with Aaron about the Epstein files." I said, "What?" So I called Ben from the Midas Touch right away, because I know the person that could have set that up was them. Ben was busy, couldn't call me back. I called Michael, he didn't respond. I called my son. My son said, "Listen, Ben called up at the last minute. They asked me to go, and I know my son was covering for the whole situation because he doesn't want controversy." So I said, "You know what? Enough of, I have the shirt that says enough is enough." So I basically hung up phone. I said, "You know what? We're going to go live." And I went live. Put the phone, I went live on Substack, and I called out Midas Touch. I called out Cohen, and I basically ripped them a new asshole, all of them, and said, "Listen, first of all, you're not going to use my son to whitewash your bullshit to Cohen." And this is before we found this email. This is even before we found this in the stuff. This was just from the accusation. And I went after Ben and the guys because I said, "Listen, you're platforming him. You're out there. You guys are partners. You're doing this. You're not breaking it." I mean, it was a whole thing. Go on my Substack. You could see it was right before New Year's. Ben, give him credit, called me back. Well, first of all, he went live with me right away. Started listening to the comments, watching what people were saying, called me up and said, "Lev, I hear you. We are the leaders of independent journalism, and we lost our touch. We stopped doing, and you're right. We should be reporting on Ukraine. We should be doing more breaking news stuff." And I respect that. And I know Ben, like I said, I know Ben and the guys right before they started. And ever since then, I always look at action, not talk. And you know what? Since then, we've been doing a live together. Ben's been reporting more on the Ukraine situation. They're expanding into international. I give him props, give him a shout out, doing incredible work. We all make mistakes, we all lose our sight, but that's what it's all about. Family
Yep.
scream, we argue, we all have our different ways, but the point to make it up. Michael Cohen was a totally separate situation. Michael Cohen has some explaining to do. So Michael Cohen, instead of explaining and coming out, he's been continuously denying and continuously playing the game. And then till last night, when we got one of this journalists somehow found in this whole dump millions of letters, found this DOJ letter that says Michael Cohen knows a lot more about Epstein and Trump criminality than he's saying.
Yep.
And here we are, and it's like now it's time. And I tell everybody, and I called Ben from the Midas guys. I spoke to everybody out there, said, guys, whoever is out there with him now, I just want to make it clear that you are choosing. It's the same thing as being with Epstein, with Trump, or any else. Because if you are going to sit with somebody right now and that black and white, we have proof that this guy has information, then I'm coming after you too. So everybody's fair game, whoever is going to cover up for the Epstein files. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's great that, Ben listened and heard you. And I know Tara Palmieri, who's a great journalist, people should follow her if they don't already, because she's gone independent. And I think actually right before we got on, I saw her, she was showing part of the email with Michael Cohen in it. So like if you haven't seen it on Lev Substack, go see her. So what do you think is going to happen? Like, I don't want to, because obviously there's legal things about going too much speculation, but like, do we have any idea what this possibly, I mean, I have thoughts that could be very obvious, but like, you know both of these people, the president, and you know Michael. Like, what are we I mean, I assume we're talking about implicating the president in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I think Michael, like I said again, I don't think Michael ever had his real mea culpa. I'm saying to you, I think Michael played the moment, used the advantage. Yes, did he come out and talk about Trump and give information? Yeah, he did. I give him credit for it. But it's not because he had some change of heart. It was because everything Michael tried to do, and I know Michael very well, and I could document every step, just people forget because it's been a while, had to do with saving Michael's ass. It had to do with trying to get Michael a pardon, trying to get Michael out, to the simple fact that as soon as Biden got out of office, Michael wrote a letter about Biden in an op-ed saying that Biden is garbage because he should have given him a pardon because he gave his son a pardon. I see a lot of people don't see a lot of these things. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, but if you take a look at, the real Michael Cohen was a fixer. The real Michael Cohen was a bad dude. The real Michael Cohen hurt a lot of people. The real Michael Cohen, went out there and threatened, did whatever he had to take a bullet for Donald. He's never, ever, came out and talked about all these things. He's only spoke about one thing, and that was the Stormy Daniels situation. And that's what he went to prison for. So, Michael Cohen has a lot of explaining to do. And, I don't care why he's not doing it. I have my thoughts on it. I think, two birds of a feather flock together. I'm saying to you, Michael and him were very close. You also have to understand, Michael, if he could, he would go back into that world. I mean, he still doesn't. I mean, doesn't talk about a lot of the people that I talk about, like say the Ukrainian oligarchs or Russian oligarchs. Michael tries to weasel and go and like Trump says, weave his way out of there without, So look. We've had a show together, absolutely. The show was together to be able to bring information from inside out. Altogether, we had it for 3 months, 3-4 months, maybe maximum. And with every time, it would be getting to a point where me and Michael would be butting heads until we hit the point. So it wasn't like we were lovey-dovey. I mean.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it would take to get Michael to actually come clean?
I think the voices. I mean, right now it's up to the people because a lot of and that's why what's happening is you have a lot of people like I'm watching even that are diehard become. Michael Cohen already has his own cult.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying to you? Of people that think that he saved America somehow, that he's this hero that fought. They don't understand how much money he's been making off their books, their subscriptions, their all of that. It's like and at the end of the day, Michael Cohen did absolutely nothing. I'm saying to you,
Mhm.
and so. Again, look, was it going to take? I don't know. People, it's like saying, was it going to take Trump? Some people are going to go their grave without doing anything because that's just the type of people they are. And I'm just saying for the people out there that have embraced him and tried to paint, go on there with him on these shows and pretend that he's a hero, and then because they're thinking they're making money off his subscribers, all of that.
Mhm.
I'm telling him this: be warned, because you're going down with him, because he is going down unless he comes out and tells the truth, and you're going to go down with him because anybody that's covering up for Epstein, I don't care who you are, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what religion, where you came from, you're going to go do it. I'm going to take you down. That's my mission. You don't like it, come after me. I'm here. Everybody knows where I am. I'm not hiding anywhere. So I had the Epstein lawyer Eric Fandalian. He was amazed, couldn't believe that that the Cohen that he has information that is not giving. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Mhm.
And this guy's out there every day. Literally today, he went on Joe Walsh. Him and Joe Walsh went today. I mean, I literally, it was you guys had to see him.
Michael and Joe did.
Oh, you should let me tell
I
you
didn't
this.
see it. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
you should see it. You guys gotta go watch this on Substack. Everybody, if you really want to see the true Michael Cohen, go watch the Substack. So he goes on with Joe Walsh, and everybody goes on there and starts hitting subscribe. To the subscribers, telling him, "Listen, tell us the truth. Tell us the truth." And I was doing another show with Ellie Leonard and Zev Shalev and others, Dean Blundell. We were doing
Mhm.
another live on the simultaneously, and people started commenting, Lev, Michael Cohen and is talking, saying that these are all lies. I said, oh, really? So I said, excuse me, guys, let me go on the show. So I stopped. I went and I joined Joe Walsh and Michael Cohen, and I started saying, bring me up, fellas. Let's have this conversation. Everybody started begging Michael to bring me up. Joe Walsh started begging Michael to bring me up. Michael Cohen said, no, I'm not going to bring him up. We're not going to do this in front of everybody. Lev is a good guy. We're good friends, and this is not in front of
Oh, boy.
And I was texting. I said, no, I'm not your friend. You're a liar. You're a liar. Or you're lying to the people. I'm going to expose you. And this is, and take a look at it. It's all public. And Joe Walsh, I felt bad for him. He had to end the show. He said, look, Michael, if we find out that you've been lying to us, there's not going to be any more friendship going on here. So
Yeah, Joe, we're big. Joe's a friend of mine, and I think is somebody that originally, like I've been a Democrat forever, and was originally a little suspect. I'll be honest, of everybody who has let's say moved to the other side. It's a little bit like what. I think Joe's done the work, and I think you're doing your best to show everybody what you know and get the facts out there. So when you said Joe, I was like, oh God, I hope he's not really involved in this, but it sounds like
no,
it's just
Joe's
a
not.
victim of
No.
circumstances.
Joe's on the other hand. I said, Joe, listen, and Joe came out and told Michael, said, look, Michael, I could have not come on the show today with you because of everything that's going on, but I came on here to give you an opportunity to say whatever you want to say statement wise, but I'll do this, guys. Tim, Luke, you guys, look for yourself. You'll see it says a picture's worth 1,000 words. A video is worth even more. So you'll see Joe's reactions, the people's reactions, the comment. You'll see what Michael says. You'll see what I say, and you'll see how it all works, and you'll understand. Listen, there's two different truths when it comes to Michael Cohen's truth and the truth that we're trying to get for the survivors. Unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right. And what do you think the chances are we're going to see these full files?
0.
That's what I think too. No fucking way.
No, it's not happening.
Yeah. You think DOJ is just scrubbing it? Like they're just not
Well,
going to
I don't think. I mean,
afraid. No, no.
I've reported on it. Not only are they scrubbing it, I mean, they've destroyed files. I mean, I've had Rokana and I had what's his name, Don Bacon. All of these guys. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and it's the shit that's going on. It's like I can't even explain to you, and that's why they're trying, and that's why we keep saying the focus has to be quickly because while just think about this when they come out and they say we found 5 million files, right? Where did you find them? Under the
Right.
fucking table, under the rug somewhere?
Right.
Like there's somebody that if you forgot to take the trash out. I mean, how do you find 5 million? I mean, where? Like, is it on a disc? What I'm saying to you is this is all theatrics. This is all to string along, play games. The fact that Trump even signed it, the fact that Bondi's playing. You know, people say, "Oh, he's going to get rid of Bondi." Idiots. Nobody. He's not getting rid of Bondi. He's not getting rid of any of these people. These are people diehards. Nobody's going to do the shit that Christy Naum's going to do for him. Nobody's going to do the shit Pam Bondi. Are you going to?
Yep.
Where's he going to find another diehard moron like that to go out there that knows they're going to go to jail in the next 2-3 years as soon as this guy is out of there? These people are insane. So yeah, so no, we're not gonna see. I'm just hoping this. This is where I'll tell you how I think we reconstruct history because Trump is destroying history.
Mhm.
Trump is, and not just like he did with the East Wing, where he just destroyed it, you know, and he's going after Powell for like 2 billion and making this whole thing about. But just think about the craziness. He's spending over 300 million on a fucking room, one room.
Right.
And it keeps going up. That's
well, 400,
okay,
isn't
folks.
it 400 million, I think, or something like
That
that?
well, it started at 2, we're at 4, and he's under budget all the time. He's the best. It's the best room, the best. I mean, but here we are. So what I'm saying to you is like the guy is all about rewriting it from the January 6th to destroying the West Wing to putting on monuments. It's about rewriting history, and the biggest cover up in the American history, world history, is the Epstein files because of not only of all the innocent children and women that were hurt, but also all of the powerful people around the world, and I mean around the world, not just Americans, not just Democrats, not just Republicans, but people around the world that participated and they're getting away for so many years. So that is where the focus should be on, and they're doing everything they can. I mean, look at if Marjorie Taylor Greene already is coming out telling you that Donald Trump told you that my good friends are going to get hurt, on a phone call. I mean, where else you guys need to? I mean, it's black and white. I mean, they're doing everything possible. Even the fact what happened in Venezuela, it's all interconnected.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the question is there anything that folks can do here to pressure? I mean, is it pressuring Michael to talk? What is, people are saying that he has a show, and I mean, I'm a fan of Don Lemon, so I don't mean to throw him into this, but like apparently Michael goes on his shows on Thursday nights. Is there anything people could do to compel him? Because honestly, like him talking about what he knows would be a very big deal, right? So like, what's it going to take?
Listen. We actually nobody attacked Michael in the beginning, and the reason why it's starting to get is because he's going into his denial mode and lying mode and deflecting mode. That whole Donald Trump thing. The bottom line is, I said to Michael my first tweet and when we came out, I said, Michael, you could be an American hero. You could literally be a hero right now. You could come out there and and say, listen, you don't have to look at this. This is what I know. This is what I was going to tell. This is where you could look. This is where you could find it. This is what he did. And you know what? I think he would be embraced. I think that's a true redemption story. I think he would be able to then move on. I can't, unless he somehow participated, and then I don't know. Maybe I say I don't know how bad it is why he's not doing, because to me it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying to you? So I truly believe that we should keep the pressure on him. And listen. When it comes to Don Lemon, listen, like I said to you, Ben, the Midas guys, great guys. Don Lemon, great people. Joy Reid, great people.
Yeah.
Wajahid Ali, great people. But the lines are being drawn. Wajahid Ali is on my side. Joy Reid is on my side. Don Lemon, he knows what's going on. He has a choice to make, and if you look at Acosta doesn't bring Michael Cohen back on.
Right.
There are people that are drawing the lines, and people need to make listen.
Mm-hmm.
And for those people that are out there saying, writing letters and saying, well, you know what, we need to all stick together to win our democracy. You know what? To those people, kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying to you? I care about the survivors more about you and your fucking democracy. You know what I'm saying to you? Because people like you is why Trump is in office, because you have no brains to think about you're gonna the best of both evils. Yeah, it's okay. He has information on all of this. This information will save your democracy, not by supporting somebody that's lying to you and coming out preaching. He's just like a preacher, preaches one thing and does something. So you know what? I don't play those games. We need the truth, and whoever covers for him is going to have to, just like right now, when the pictures are coming out with them with their hands around Epstein, doesn't look good, right? People are right now paying the price. They knew that Epstein was a convicted pedophile, and they continue to do business. They continue to fly on airplanes, and that they continue to take pictures. And now, when it's coming out, doesn't feel good. I'm saying the same thing with Michael Cohen. This is not speculation, folks. I want to make it very clear.
Right.
This is not my opinion. This is not a Lev Michael Cohen fight. This is not. This is right against wrong. We have this. Let me ask you this question, folks. Forget about if I take Michael Cohen's name out of it, and let's say in that email we found it was Steve Bannon, or it was Donald Trump, or it was Stephen Miller. You guys would be screaming, yelling, let's go get him. What the fuck's the difference? Michael Cohen wrote a letter in 2019 to the Department of Justice saying, I have criminal information about Epstein and Trump. That's it.
Yep.
What's the fucking information? What else is there to talk about? I mean, come on, wake the fuck up. And I'm sorry, I'm cursing. I don't usually,
do you know who you're with? No, you don't have to worry about that.
I know. You got the Brooklyn in me coming out right now, because I try, stay like, but this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. Well, I'm a Brooklyn guy. I live in Brooklyn too. So I'm not from the part of Brooklyn where you're from, but a little bit different. But Lev, first of all, I just want to thank you, because you were not scheduled to come on, and we really appreciate you coming and sharing this information, which is obviously really important for people. And I want to make sure that people go and follow you on Substack at Lev Parnas and your podcast, Lev Remembers, where you're going to get a lot more information. So I think that's what we've got on Epstein tonight. But Lev, thank you very much for joining us. We're gonna go to some other topics now, but we really appreciate you being on. This will be on YouTube afterwards too, so people could check it out. We'll push it out tomorrow. So Lev, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and and I apologize for earlier in the day, but
no worries.
We could have a part two. Take a look at my Substack. There's so much Venezuela, other things.
We're gonna get you back. Yeah, we're gonna get you back on, my friend.
Some stuff. So
it's great meeting you.
Great. Take care, Chris.
We'll talk to you soon.
Also. Take care, Tim, Luke.
Right.
Take care, guys.
All righty. Thank you. Well, all right. Okay. Well, that was a lot of Epstein.
That was a lot of Epstein.
I think Michael Cohen has a lot to answer for. But I want to shift a little bit, and I want to bring. we had.
That was one email.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
That was one email.
Yeah.
Old people, man. Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's not that much older than I am, but
I know, that's why I said it.
God damn you, Luke. Well, I want to an hour later introduce the guest that we were originally going to have on with us tonight, Tim Whitaker from Evangelicals. And you told me my mind's a little mush right now at the moment.
He's thinking about Epstein.
Tim, everyone should go follow you at Tim Whitaker Speaks.
Yeah, so I founded the New Evangelicals. It's run by an executive director now. I do content for them, but my own brand, so to speak, is Tim Whitaker Speaks. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And just so you are you already, well, I guess we were talking about this before. You are a religious man on the left.
I'm a Jesus follower.
A Jesus follower. You are with three heathens here.
Oh boy.
Yep. But actually, there's a logical next question for you off of that, which is, why are all of the right-wing evangelicals, why do they not give a shit
Why are
about-
they gigantic shitbags?
No. Well, we're gonna break it. We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna chop it up a little bit. They don't care about the Epstein stuff.
That's right.
And why do they not care? The people who claim family values, morality, all of these things,
Yeah.
and they follow the most deranged,
That's right.
immoral piece of shit that has ever existed.
Well, I will say that this is like what I do full time. I talk about this shit. So people want deeper dives on all of it. I've been to America Fest 3 years in a row. I've met Charlie Kirk. I've done hour-long deep dives on that. So I have all the receipts for what I'm about to say, but I don't want to, talk for the next hour and a half because there is a lot. But I will say this as my own street cred. I am a former conservative evangelical. I was homeschooled for 9 years, grew up in the belly of the white evangelical beast. I could rattle off a bunch of insider language that people on the inside would recognize, people on the outside would have no clue about. But I was a product of that. I mean, I bought the whole thing. I walked down the aisle. I played drums professionally in that space. Like that was my thing. I was all in. Did mission trips, helped plant churches, the whole nine. So I say all that because, when Trump came around in 2016, that was the beginning of me going, something seems kind of wacky here because, you're taught in those spaces that sexual purity is really important. You are called as Christians to not have sex until you're married. That is how God has ordained sex to be. And if you're even caught with your girlfriend doing nothing, that could be a problem in the church. You can be removed from leadership or worse. And all of a sudden, those same people, my former Sunday school teachers, were then on Facebook telling me that I'm somehow a heretic because I can't vote for the guy on the cover of Playboy, the guy bragging about sexually assaulting women, etc.
Right.
And I went, I mean, guys, call me inconsistent here, but I think I'm being consistent. I think you're the ones removing the goalposts.
Did you read the same book I did?
Did you? Yeah. I mean, did you hear the same stuff that you taught me, etc. Right. And so to answer your question, you have to understand that the white evangelical infrastructure is centered on two things: power and control. And when I use the word Christian nationalist, it is kind of one and the same because statistically, the highest concentration of Christian nationalism is found in white evangelical spaces. About 3 out of 4 will hold Christian nationalist views, and you can find data on this from PRRI. They're the ones who do all the sociology and all the the polling on this. So white evangelicalism is the reason we have Trump. There is no way around that. There is absolutely no way around that. And also, broadly speaking, white conservative Christians in general, Catholics and mainliners, also majority in the tank for Trump. So you ask the question: how do these people vote against things that seem antithetical to the way of Jesus? Ultimately, they are very clever in creating alternate theologies that give the justification for why anyone on the right should be in power, because they're focused on culture war issues. They're focused on abortion. They're focused on LGBTQ plus rights. And now they're focused on immigration, right? And this has been the calling card really since the moral majority in the 80s. A guy named Jerry Falwell kind of started this whole thing.
Ralph Reed, right? Was he part of that?
Ralph Reed came along later. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerry Falwell founded Liberty University. And he partnered with, at the time, Paul Weyrich to get evangelicals up in a frenzy over, they said abortion, but the actual story is it was over school integration. People don't know that part of it. It actually came out of racism. So this is in the DNA of white evagelicalism. They are going to look for whatever gives them power. One other piece I'll give you all that is not really known to the broader population. I'm sure you all know Paula White. This is a pastor who comes from like the prosperity gospel movement, or really the New Apostolic Reformation. And
her husband's in Journey.
That's right. Her second husband is in Journey.
Jonathan
That's right.
Cain.
Yeah. And so Paula White was actually Trump's spiritual advisor way before he ran for president. Since early 2005, so to speak. And he actually was going to run in 2012 for the office, but she said now's not a good time. Wait, until 2016. When he decided to run, she brought in a lot of her pastors into Trump's tower to help craft the theology and the narrative building that would convince their audiences to vote for Trump. So people don't understand that there's a hidden infrastructure of email lists and YouTube channels and theology and churches that kind of get in line and create new justifications for why you should vote for this guy. That's how they moved from Bill Clinton, Franklin Graham saying, hey, if a man can't lead his family, how can he lead his country? And now we have, well, hey, look, we need a commander-in-chief, not a pastor-in-chief. because it is really a morally relative movement that will use Christian theology and select biblical interpretation to justify why their guy, who will give them power and control, deserves to be in the office. That's kind of how it happens.
So that's a lot to unpack. But
Yep.
so do they know that they are being hypocritical, or is it so ingrained in them that they don't even realize?
It depends on the rank and file versus the leaders, right? I think the average rank and file white evangelical just thinks they're being a good Christian. I mean, look, I was taught, so this is a very common thing every election. Okay, now churches aren't supposed to endorse candidates, right? So here's what they do. They would say, well, you as a Christian should vote for a biblical worldview. What does the Bible say about abortion? What does the Bible say about sexuality? What does the Bible say about insert culture war issue here? And and it just so happened to line up with right-wing talking points every single time, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of how it works. So for the rank and file, they just think they're being faithfully biblical Christians. They just think, hey, I'm voting the Bible. Now, of course, they ignore the thousands of passages about the poor and the oppressed, yada, yada, yada. We all know this. But, you're only really highlighting certain verses, I would argue, out of context for justification. The leaders, I think some of them know that they're being hypocritical, but I think like your Charlie Kirks of the world, man, they're legit. Like, they're authentic. I mean, you have to understand, when you're in this world, you really do believe, and I say this as a former insider, you really do believe that God has given you a divine calling to take America back from the evil and demonic liberals. That is a real thing. I wasn't cosplaying when I believed that. And I don't think Charlie Kirk was, or Rob McCoy, who's Charlie's pastor. I don't think any of those guys are cosplaying. I think, of course, Trump is, absolutely, not even a question. But Paula White sure as hell isn't. She sure as hell isn't.
So I've had this discussion with Joe Walsh, who considered himself Charlie Kirk's mentor for quite a while. And his impression, as someone who knew him very well, is that Charlie was bullshit, that he was embracing this because the evangelical shift was later in his political career.
Much more like what was the term I'm looking libertarian, much more early on.
Yeah. So Joe Walsh's view on this, again, he describes himself as Charlie Kirk's former mentor. He sees Charlie Kirk as someone who embraced in evangelicalism because he recognized the profit, and B, the power that he could tap into. I mean, it's like an oil well. Like he knew where to fucking drill, and he did, and things went really well for him when he did that.
So the story, as I understand it, is that COVID is what really turned Turning Point USA big time, because Rob McCoy, who was Charlie's pastor, really got in his ear about, hey, you should really take your faith more seriously. So this is the story that I've understood. I don't like you said, Joe calls it bullshit. It definitely could be, but the narrative building is that Rob McCoy, who's Charlie Kirk's former pastor, he actually spoke at Charlie Kirk's funeral, really got in his ear about COVID and when the churches were quote unquote being shut down. And that's when Turning Point really got more into that far right game. And also when they started Turning Point USA Faith, they have a whole faith arm that is reaching out to white evangelical churches and other traditions to try and build this ecumenical, broad force. It's a very interesting situation there. But yeah, I mean, it definitely could be the case. I don't think I think Rob was sincere for sure, but maybe Charlie was an opportunist and saw, hey, there is money here. I mean, white evangelicalism, $1 billion war chest, billions. Catherine Stewart's book, God, Money, and Lies, is a well-documented deep dive on this shit. Well-funded, well-oiled machine. Not even a question.
So the thing I think that confuses, I'm a lapsed Catholic, and I had sort of a similar epiphany when I was in high school, because I was always a liberal guy for the most. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Maine, so as liberal as you could be in the 90s in a place like that, which is lovely. It's just a fairly isolated. And, I started going to Sunday school, and I started hearing things that didn't really jive with reality. And, I happen to be pro-choice, and I have been my entire life. And some of it was that. Some of it was the sex abuse scandal stuff. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here? And so, like, why can some of us, you included, because you are a different denomination than I was, how come we got out, but most don't?
I asked myself that question a lot. I was always a curious kid. I remember listening to Rush Limbaugh. I grew up on talk radio my whole life.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to Rush Limbaugh, lambast Obama. This is like second term, year 3, so 7 years in, right? And I'm in construction at the time. I was younger, I think a teenager, working like with my dad. I remember thinking to myself, gee, for all this talk about how Obama's destroying America, we're still here. Like, I have to be missing something. I remember when Glenn Beck literally cried on the radio. It was like, we're not going to have an America in 3 years from now with this radical Marxist. I'm like, okay, like, Glenn, we're all still here, bro, right? So I just think like I was always a curious person. And frankly, at least in evangelicalism is so different than any other kind of sect out there. But I really wanted the truth. Like, I really wanted to be a person who stood on truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I always believed and was taught, hey, follow the truth wherever it takes you. I don't think my tradition was ready when it took me beyond their borders. And I realized I was kind of in a cult, a big cult, but a cult nonetheless. But I just took my faith incredibly seriously. This was not for me a moment of, oh, it's all bullshit, I don't believe it. It was, wait, Jesus tells me to love my enemies and to take care of the poor and to heal the sick. And these people are advocating for policies that do the complete opposite of that. Like, who's right. unfaithful to Jesus here in this scenario? It's not me. Yeah, that was the story for me.
I think the thing that a lot of evangelicals and religious people in general share with the political right is the desire to bow down to an authority.
Yes.
To be told that you must, not you can,
that's right,
you will, not it's your decision, that it's your must, because there's a lot of comfort in having decisions made for you, in being told this is your guide for all of your life.
Yep.
These are the things that you need to do.
Right.
Because if you don't have to, and I say this as someone who, like, when I joined the fucking military because I was really good at doing what I was told. Like that is a talent of mine. I'm very good at fucking doing what I'm told. Right. So I'm not saying that I'm not that person and never was, but it is much more uncomfortable to go out on your own and to shake off the community and the command structure that comes with that kind of organized religion.
You make a great point. The jump from your pastor is your spiritual authority, do whatever he says, to, hey, this is your president, do whatever he says. It's not a far jump, right? White evangelicalism as a group is primed for authoritarianism, and there's so much data, there's so much scholarship on this. And you're totally right, Chris. I mean, you're 100% on the money. This world really creates a theology where America first and like the mythology of America being a Christian nation is inseparable from the gospels, quote unquote. Like, there is no separation between, of course I'm a good patriot and of course I follow Jesus. You've all seen those shirts, right? I stand for the flag, I kneel for the cross, right? That's the culmination of literally white Christian nationalism. Like, it's all those things in one pot stirred up. And so you can't separate where the politics end and the theology begins. And like you said, you have a high control hierarchical structure. And in charismatic spaces in particular, God is speaking to these leaders who's speaking over you. So to go against your leaders, to go against God, which is what Paula White literally said. She literally said to go against Trump is to go against God. There's an actual clip of her saying that. That's how it works.
So there's someone put a comment in here, which I actually see quite a bit of, and like, it still confuses me, even with everything you've said, which makes sense to me. Is there's this woman, Bleeds Green 86, says, I get, and I'm going to quote this because I'm not saying these words. I get called a bitch, a cunt, and the R word by people with Bible quotes in their bios. Like, how does, like, I understand, like, what you're saying as far as like, if Trump is basically Christ on earth and I have to follow him and all that, but how does that jive with this like foul? Because I get it too. Like, when I see someone writing, this is anecdotal, right? I don't have any like scientific proof, but like a lot of times I will see, it's not John 3:16. I'm thinking of like sports, but like, they hold that side, but like, there's some sort of Bible verse in there, or they have the cross, the red, the purplish
Yep.
like and white cross thing.
Yep.
How do they, like, in treating people so terribly, regardless of what you think of the Bible, there's nothing in there. I mean, I guess there is stoning people, but like, I guess
There
that's
is.
it. Is that maybe that's the hook? But like, how do, like, what is that basically, like?
So I am not going to try and give all the right answers to this question.
Of
Part
course.
of it is people are just assholes. That's number one. But there is a deep-seated sense of, if you are this person I think you are evil, and you must be defeated. There's the dehumanization in Christian nationalism is key to how it operates, right? Because when you hear people say, "Oh, they're demonic" or "they're demons," that what they're saying is this person's not redeemable, right? Who redeems a demon? Who tries to make
Fair.
a demon better? You don't do that. You destroy demons, right? And you have to understand, in this world, battle language is everywhere. It's in the songs they sing. It's in the theology. It's in the rhetoric. When I was a kid, I learned the song, "I'm in the Lord's army." Yes, sir. I can still sing it to you. I was like 6. Right. So you have this theology ingrained in you of like, they're the bad people, you're the good people. This person, and then of course you fill in Matt Walsh's talking points, because that's who they listen to, right? You think about who they inhale media wise, and all of a sudden this person that has pronouns in their bio is an evil son of a bitch, and I'm going to tell them what the fuck is up, right? And that's how this happens.
Oh, it's so depressing.
Oh, I mean, I'm depressed all day.
I mean, and I'm not even religious. Actually, one of the things I forgot to mention when I said, like, when I was having my, I guess I call it crisis of faith. It didn't feel like it at the time, but like, obviously Catholic priests can't get married. Yeah. Our priest had a girlfriend. She actually lived with him in it wasn't a rectory, but it was like a building next door to the church. Like, so I remember going with my grandmother, who, by the way, was as liberal as you could be for a Catholic. And she was like, daughters Isabella, like state and regional chair at one point, had gay friends. Never, it was all a social thing for her. But like, I remember going to church and being like, wait, who's that lady going into that building with Father Mike? Okay, he's gone now, so I could say it. But like, and she's like, oh, well, that's like his house cleaner. And I go, what's house cleaner?
Right.
Why is this I'm 12. Why is this in quotes? And she's like, well, it's his girlfriend. And none of them cared. So, but it was like, I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, if you're telling me women can't be priests here, priests can't be married, but then the girlfriend, this was before all the sex abuse stuff came out. I'm like, wait a minute. This is not as like ironclad, I guess, as I thought it was. And then you start to pull on the threads, and I'm like, and in my particular, you have to be anti-gay, anti-choice. I mean, my grandmother wasn't, but like, if you were really into it, right? These are the things you have to like be against all of these people. And I'm looking around and going like, well, I know that person's, this is in the 80s. I know that person's gay. There's nothing wrong with that person. Like, why can't they marry the person that they want? But we're okay with all these heterosexual relationships where spousal abuse is very common, especially in some of these very religious, not all, but like very religious, like women have to sit in the kitchen barefoot in the kitchen is like a thing that came from that world. And I'm like, this doesn't like, I'm just having a hard time. And I see all these people down. I'm like, it's 2026. I'm like, how are we still here? But it's all they know, right? It's all they know.
Have you guys heard the whispers from some people of we have to repeal the 19th Amendment? Have you heard from that? Have you heard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I promise you, they're not. It's not coming from atheists.
No,
the call is not coming from the humanists. It's not coming from the conservative atheists out there. It's coming from Doug Wilson. It's coming from Dale Partridge.
Yeah.
Joel Webbin. And by the way, Jason Whitlock repeated that at America Fest 2 years ago on the stage in front of 10,000 people. This is not a fringe position anymore. Right. Let me give you some insider info really quick. Right now, in like the far, like, I'm not sure if you guys know who Doug Wilson is. He kind of went viral on CNN. It's a whole thing. He's a mess, but he's very powerful in this like conservative evangelical world in a certain sect of it. Anyway. Right now, in that world of Doug Wilson, they are debating if interracial marriage is okay. They're debating if it's okay to marry people of other ethnicities. In fact, there's a debate happening tomorrow between a YouTuber named Ruslan, who's actually pretty conservative, and far-right asshole Joel Webbin, who just had Nick Fuentes on his show, to debate that very topic. That's where the right-wing Christian movement is right now.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
So my background, Tim, is I like infiltrate extremist organizations like neo-Nazi organizations and all that shit. So I have been, the stuff that you're talking about was the fringe stuff that was fringe back in 2019, 2020, like when I first started looking into Turning Point USA in like 2017, when I think the organization was maybe 2 or 3 years old. Like Repeal the 19th used to be a Nick Fuentes thing.
Totally.
And then it became a Matt Walsh thing. And then it is rolling, and it is reaching the point where I think we're 2026, we're I think this year members of Congress will start saying that out loud. Like, I think the momentum is going that fast that we'll have Republican members of Congress say out loud that maybe repealing the 19th is a good idea.
First off, I have so many questions for you, so I'm not sure if that's tonight or another time. But wow, I have questions.
Well, you're gonna come on the show the real show at some point. But go ahead.
I'll just say briefly. One of the reasons why a lot of ex-evangelicals, that's what we're called, so to speak, are so loud and are screaming on social media to our tiny audiences about this threat is because this is only the beginning. And what happens is, and this is no shade to secular progressives or Democrats, but a lot of them think that we're nuts. Like, oh, dude, you're like QAnon. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking QAnon. I have goddamn receipts. I have the receipts of what is coming because I grew up in it. I have friends of mine who were women who grew up in it, who understand the patriarchy, who understand the abuse that goes on. And so you're absolutely right, Chris. Like I am surprised by nothing. I'm not surprised by potential third term of Trump. I'm not surprised by repealing the 19th. But people go, oh, well, that's constitutional. You think they give a shit about the Constitution? Doug Wilson, again, who spoke at Turning Point USA, I interviewed him on my channel years ago. Okay, because I like being in the know. I like talking to these fools. I like getting them on camera. And he said to me before he dies, he wants Christ is Lord in the Constitution. Do you think these people are playing around?
No, they're not joking.
Playing around.
No,
they're deadly serious.
Yeah.
Deadly serious. So yeah, I mean, this is why I yap about this stuff all day on like 3 different shows in my own, content and Substack and YouTube, because it's a massive threat. It in my opinion, maybe I'm a little extreme here, it is the single greatest threat to democracy is white Christian nationalism.
I 1,000% agree
so
with that.
Let me tell you why you're right. Because religion, the belief in God, and a belief that God is telling you what to do, and that God divides the deserving and the undeserving, or that God will give you permission to describe a person as demonic.
Yep.
That creates a permission structure to kill.
100%.
Right. And like the Nazis, a lot of people don't think of them this way. The Nazis like had some Christian theology that they mixed, that they sprinkled in.
100%.
Right? Like
Yes.
that's not the way Americans remember them.
Yeah.
But that is part of the power structure that they
100%.
used to justify killing millions of people. So you are right. You are not an alarmist. This is a historical fact that Christian, or let me not say Christian, but religious extremism is a gateway to mass violence. And when you combine that with the powers of government, the violence is incalculable. It can grow exponentially. It is tremendously dangerous.
Look at January 6th is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right?
They brought a freaking cross.
They brought a cross with a noose.
They pray
Right?
to Jesus.
right next to it, basically.
Yeah.
Like it is insane, and they it's just
Chris, you're totally right. And look, I think all three of us here are aware enough, right, that you can use religion for a tool of liberation or a tool of oppression, right?
Yes.
Martin Luther King Jr. is using the Christian tradition for liberation. There's a deep social justice orientation in American history of Christians doing that kind of work. Obviously, that's the thing. But, as a former insider, now progressive Christian, like, my God, we have to sound the alarm because the average American just does not know what they're dealing with. Trump is just the fruit of the newest iteration of white Christian supremacy.
Yeah.
I mean, it
he's
has
just
been
a
thing
symptom.
forever.
He's a symptom.
Forever. Yeah, exactly. Would you mind? I won't take up too much more time. Can I just read one small quote from Doug Wilson?
Yes,
your
go ahead.
audience needs to know that this man speaks at Turning Point USA events.
Yes.
That this man was on Tucker Carlson's show. This is a real quote from his book called Southern Slavery as It Was. He wrote this with the white supremacists at the time. And this is from his blog. This is his excerpt from the book. This is word for word. Slavery as it existed in the South was not an adversarial relationship with pervasive racial animosity. Because of its predominantly patriarchal character, it was a relationship based upon mutual affection and confidence. There has never been a multiracial society which has existed with such mutual intimacy and harmony in the history of the world. The credit for this must go to the predominance of Christianity. The gospel enabled men who were distinct in nearly every way to live and work together, to be friends and often intimates. This happened to such an extent that moderns indoctrinated on civil rights propaganda would be thunderstruck to know the half of it. Slave life was to the slave a life of plenty, of simple pleasures, of food, clothes, and good medical care. In spite of the evils contained in the system, we cannot overlook the benefits of slavery for both blacks and whites. Slavery produced in the South a genuine affection between the races that we believe we can say has never existed in any nation before the war or since.
See, I wish that someone got on television and started reading that aloud when it was being discussed how Ron DeSantis was making sure that we were both siding slavery, because that is what it sounds like. That is what is being taught in fucking Florida right now.
Now, can I blow your minds one more time? Here's the connection. Do you know? So Doug Wilson runs a denomination of churches. Do you know who attends Doug Wilson's denomination of churches and is discipled by Doug Wilson?
Is it JD Vance?
No, it's worse. It's Pete Hegseth.
Well,
Pete Hegseth attends a church. His name is Brooks Potiker. They just planted a church in DC so Pete can go. Okay. Pete attends a church that this guy oversees. Pete loves Doug Wilson. In fact, when Doug Wilson went on CNN to talk about how, we should repeal the 19th, Pete retweeted this. And this is my frustration. I'll stop ranting on your podcast. Thank you for having me, by the way.
No, this is great.
I
Keep
watched
going.
Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing. Not one goddamn politician asked him about his connection to Doug Wilson, the man who wrote this, the man who literally is a slavery apologist. Because they don't see it. They don't see the religious extremism that is animating the people inside of this administration.
Well, how are the Democrats not even seeing this? It's so fucking obvious. It's just like, also, he has a white supremacist tattoo.
He has Crusader iconography tattoo.
Yes.
I am frustrated to no fucking end, because during all these confirmation hearings, like the senators were prepared by staff who've been glued to C-SPAN, CNN, and MSNBC, and that's it. And they're not getting fucking any, like, there's an entire field of intelligence analysts who've been putting fucking Jan 6ers in jail, or were putting Jan 6ers in jail for 4 fucking years. Like, we know everything about all of these motherfuckers. I have been to the QAnon conferences where Mike Flynn and Kash Patel are on stage with a maniac speaking in fucking tongues.
That's right.
Next to a former fucking lieutenant colonel from the army.
Yes, that's
He's
right.
telling people to buy fucking ammunition to prepare for the Civil War.
Yes.
This is all on video.
I know,
It's not
man.
hidden. Like, yes, I recorded
love
but
it.
it exists on fucking Rumble.
Yeah.
Like, if they played any of those videos during the fucking confirmation hearings, there is no way. There is no, as crazy as the Republican conference is, there's no fucking way when you have somebody speaking in tongues, which most people who are religious in this country still think is heretical.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
see
right.
someone speaking in tongues standing next to fucking Kash Patel as that motherfucker is about to become the lead law enforcement officer of the United States? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like Ted Cruz would be like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Not
know.
really sure. Yeah, no,
You know,
you're
like
completely right.
this shit went too far for all of them, and not, all these fucking Democratic senators were just like, let me get my 5-second Twitter clip, thinking,
But you know why?
16 again.
You know why?
Yeah,
And I'm
you're
going
right.
to promote the shit out of all three of us because no one is paying. Well, it's changing, but this is why we exist. This is why Tim's stuff exists. This is why the Final stuff exists. This is why On Offense exists,
Yeah.
because and I hate to do like mainstream media, but like it's true. They
It's
don't
true.
talk about any of this. They're terrified to talk about religion because they're afraid of alienating
That's
so
right.
many people because the evangelicals will go, I'm not touching any of your shit anymore.
That's
And
right.
so then advertisers get pissed off. Well, guess what? Well, like we don't care because we don't have any advertisers, so whatever. Who gives a shit?
Right.
But like but this is why this stuff is so important. This is why we've all like dedicated so much time, because it doesn't go out anyways. And like otherwise it just doesn't. And like look, like the left thing went very long and that was but like he's talking about real shit. Like and like Tara, because she's independent now, she's talking about it, but like and then CBS today is out saying, well, the ICE agent suffered internal bleeding.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We all saw him
it.
walk away.
We all saw it. He walked away. He said, that fucking bitch, right? That
Right.
fucking bitch.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, if you're internally bleeding, and I know like at beginning, like you might not know, but like he's walking around, he gets in the fucking
No,
car and he
if he's
leaves.
internally bleeding, that's because of alcoholism. Like that
He
is
didn't get hit. He might have gotten
Seriously.
bumped. Her wheels turned as far, not even 90, like it just turned as far as you could possibly go. Two of those fucking shots went through the side window.
Yep.
So it's like, and all these people, I tell you, like I mean, we probably all see it. I posted a couple like times on, especially on Facebook, and like people are just sending me the most vile shit. They're like, open your eyes. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm looking right at the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And like when you slow-mo it and you break it down, they're like, he's like, there's like, it's not even like, well, you can't see daylight. You can see fucking daylight. And he's still fucking, he's got a phone in one hand and a gun in the other, and he's shooting her in the face. And it's like, and all these people you're talking about, like they don't care.
This guy
They
spent a
don't
lot of
care.
time in the military. I don't know. I don't know if he deployed. I don't know if he deployed, what his deployments were like. But as someone who spent a year in fucking Iraq, where any car could be a fucking car bomb, you know how many people I shot in the face? Zero. I didn't shoot anybody in the face. Because you don't do that. It's not fucking necessary.
Well, he
Like,
also, I mean, you're more of an I mean, I'm not an expert, but like what I have heard is like you also don't jump in front of a fucking car.
Right. Like he walked in front of it.
Mhm.
And
okay,
it wasn't a super adversarial. Like they show her the last thing, she's smiling. Now she doesn't love that guy's there. That's very clear. But she's like, she said like, I'm not mad at you, or I'm not like, there was some
I'm
statement.
not mad at you, bro.
Not mad at you, bro.
Mhm.
3 seconds later, she's dead.
This is, and again, Chris, you probably can speak to this more than I could, but this is what happens when you have, let's see, almost 4 decades of right-wing media from Rush Limbaugh all the way up, indoctrinating millions of people to not believe what's right in front of them, right? Because they're the epistemology for these folks. Ali Stuckey, if you know who she is out there saying what you just said. Well, if she wasn't there, well, he was just trying to save himself. It's just propaganda, right? But it works because you hear it for years. Look, if you're
Over and over and over again.
and don't forget, Jonathan Ross is, according to his dad, a good conservative Christian man. Shocker alert. Like, oh, I was blown away when I heard that. But think about that, right? When you're in this world, you're taught, dude, I was taught not to believe evolution, to believe that that the earth was created in 7 literal days. You're just taught to distrust everyone except for the people that you're told to trust.
Right.
So you don't believe the video in front of you. You don't believe what the scientists say about vaccines. You believe what the pundit says. You believe, what's that stupid kid who did the stupid Somali daycare bullshit fraud?
Oh, Nick Shirley.
You believe some 23-year-old YouTuber, right? Who literally is knocking on daycare doors and being like, well, they won't let me in, so I guess it must be closed. Because you're just taught to believe this shit.
Right. Instead of being like, why is a 23-year-old guy trying to get into a daycare, which any daycare of any fucking like anything would say, get out of here.
I have a 7-month-old who's been going to daycare
Congrats.
for 3 months. If I saw someone with a camera crew
Oh my God.
banging on the fucking door when I got there,
Yeah.
I would probably, I don't know that I'd go to jail. I think the cops would let me go.
Right.
I would,
Right.
I don't know,
like-
Chris. I've seen you mad. I don't know.
you've never seen me violent.
No. To be clear, no.
I'm very careful.
I would be, but I think I would be violent
But-
if somebody was trying to get into my son's like school.
Yeah, but I'm not kidding. I really do think, like, I just picked on my daughter. What time is it? 5 hours ago. Just picked up my daughter 5 hours ago. If I walked up, it's getting to the end of the fucking day, like going to see my fucking baby, and there's some fucking punk kid standing there, banging on the fucking door, shouting questions at the terrified fucking staff behind the door who's spent all day taking care of my kid, I'm not going to ask questions. Like,
No,
Right.
I'm
No,
going to
you'd be
start
justified.
removing people from the fucking building.
hell yeah. Isn't Nick the same guy that went to Ukraine and was like showing videos like there's no war here, and he was like 150 miles from the front?
Yeah.
And what was the word that he couldn't? There was now I'm fucking it up. Like I didn't mean to.
Belelevant
Jesus fuck.
billionaires.
Now I'm gonna screw it up.
Yeah.
But if you go look at anything where he talks, he's a fucking idiot.
What else? Yeah.
And they all are like, oh look, he's the new Charlie Kirk. I'm like, good luck, guys.
Yeah.
If this is what you you think.
Anti-intellectualism is part and parcel of the evangelical experiment. So it of course is going to overlap into right-wing media, right?
Right.
It's baked into the pie.
Right.
It's crazy to believe. It's wild to watch Elon Musk retweet this nonsense, but
Oh my
he
God.
does, and there's real consequences. I mean, that's the worst part. Yeah, as a Christian, what's the greatest commandment? Love God and love your neighbor. And these Christians are killing their neighbors. These Christians are destroying their neighbors' lives. These Christians are scapegoating their neighbors, right?
Yep.
It is completely antichrist how they're behaving, but unfortunately, there is a Christian stream throughout Christian history that is built on power and control, and we're living through another iteration of that today.
One of the things, because we talked to Hope Walls on Monday, Tim Wall's daughter, and was for a 25-year-old for what her whole life got completely turned upside down a year and a half ago, and already was like she doesn't remember life without her dad being in Congress or a governor. All these fucking assholes who followed Nick, again, all on the right, most of them right-wing evangelicals, are driving by the Minnesota governor's mansion screaming the R word. And let's not forget that Tim's son has developmental disabilities. And these fucking assholes have decided that the right thing to do, because Donald Trump called Tim Walz, and I won't say the word, is the R word, that they're taking their families. This isn't just like 22-year-old Jimmy going off. People are getting their kids and their wives, going in their cars, rolling down their windows, and screaming that. By the way, Tim Walz is like fairly deaf, by the way. So like there is some justice in the fact that like he can't hear anything that they're saying, because she said he actually, I think from his military experience and some of the explosions and whatever, he can't hear very well. So like he can't, but Hope could hear it. And I think Gus could hear it. And like, I just like, I mean, we're all agreeing, so there's not really much to say here, but like, I just, when I look at that, it pushes me so much for like, and you are a great example of a religious person. And like, I don't have a lot of those in my life. So I have become quite anti-religion over time because I see what is happening. And I like Ricky Gervais has lots of problems. So I'm not holding him up as an example, but like there is a very famous clip of him with Stephen Colbert, who is famously Catholic, but also famously very progressive. They have a very interesting conversation. But like where I get hung up in this whole debate, to be perfectly honest, is when they're going back and forth. And Ricky eventually just says, well, I just believe in one less God than you do. Because there are 1,000 of them. And it's a very interesting point. but like I don't besmirk people for believing in a certain thing and like that like allows them to live a life like you like if religion was like how you practice religion, I would probably be a lot more interested in it. But it's just like the reason that their numbers over time are shrinking, I think, is this problem, is that like you look at least in the US, the number of people who believe is shrinking. It's still a majority by far, but like
Yeah.
it's
There's
not
definitely
it's not a sustainable path for them
yeah.
over the long term.
Definitely a loss of institutional religion. I think there's a lot of people who are now they would say that they're spiritual. And look, I mean, we're all looking for sense of meaning and belonging. I mean, in healthy spirituality can fill a lot of those things, community, belonging, etc.
Right.
But I think, especially in the American context, we're experiencing such a toxic form of Christianity. Like it's so toxic and it's so pervasive that I get why people, get out of the house of Christian thought and go, I'm never going the fuck back. Why would I? I get
Right.
that. Chris, I had a question for you though, if you don't mind, because you're the expert on this extremist stuff. You infiltrate it. I mean, I try and be fair to my audience. I try and be truthful. I try not to over exaggerate because again, I grew up on talk radio. But the more I do this stuff, the more I read what they're doing, the more I think about my own upbringing, the more I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes, and I don't know. I know that there's a way because there's always a way. We look at human history, but I don't know how to stop the descent that we're on right now because I think about just how embedded these Christian nationalists are into government. I mean, they are deeply embedded. They are inviting extremist pastors into the White House to pray over Trump. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts as like someone who infiltrates these extremist groups. Like, is there a way out of this anytime soon? Or are we just kind of fucked? And I'm a realist. I want to know the truth,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a threat analyst and a pessimist, and I am usually right. I can't explain why I am so good at what I'm good at what I do. Pattern recognition or something. I don't fucking know. But I have a good sense of things like I'm literally writing reports of like I expect political assassinations to become kind of like a thing, in summer 2025. And it did.
Yeah.
Right. That's the level that I do. We are currently on a trajectory where things have to get much, much, much worse before things can possibly get better. We have not reached a point. And let's just back up and look at the news and look at what's on CNN, which is what like the main, the middle of the road people are generally watching, right?
The moderates.
You have journalists, and I know Jake Tapper, and I am frustrated with him often. I listened to a little bit of his show tonight, and they were both sidesing shit. Where it's like a fucking ICE agent just executed someone in multiple videos that you can see all of the angles. Like it was clearly fucking murder, right? And we have the like kind of mainstreamish or middle of the road show, both sides in it. So we have not reached a point where there's a mass consensus that what is happening is wrong, and things will have to get so much worse. So to get more specific, we are going to have to see something like a National Guard unit. Now, the federal courts have like interfered with the deployments. So this is a little funky right now, but the deployment of a southern like red state, like an Alabama or a Texas to a blue state, and you have a young soldier or two let loose into a crowd, like a Kent State. Right, this is not unrealistic.
Right.
This happened in American history.
Yes, not that long ago.
We're going to need a Kent State, but it has to be caught on camera, and it has to be caught from multiple fucking angles. Because if it just happens, that's not enough anymore.
Totally.
Well, no, Kent State wouldn't have been a thing without that photo of the woman sitting like over the bodies, like basically wailing.
Yeah,
because her friends were murdered. And then there's a Crosby, Stills and Nash song, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song. But that's the thing we keep talking about, and we talked on the show today, which is like you have to, if you're in one of these situations, you have to record it.
Yeah. So
You have
here's like let me talk about the year. So it's cold right now. Yes, there's a lot of protests. Yes, there's a lot of brave people like getting right up on ice and saying fuck no, but it's cold. This is not the protest season. Protest season doesn't start until May.
Right.
Last year, or because of Gaza, it started in April. Like protest season started a little earlier. So this year, we will start to see mass mobilizations probably in April. It's weather dependent. So if we have like a cold front sitting on top of the United States, it's not going to happen in April. These are the way these things work. By the time that we get to July, shit is going to be really fucking hot. The way to think about this is if you look at the murder rate in Manhattan throughout the course of the year, historically, you will see when it's fucking hot, that is when people get killed, because that's when people are outside.
Yep.
So that is when protests happen. So between April at the earliest, May most likely, through September when school starts again, we're going to see mass mobilizations like we've not seen in this country before. And we are going to see ICE being used as a much more direct and explicit police force that is not interested in immigration at all. It is just going out against protesters. So this summer, that is going to be the big conflict that we see. We will see deaths. We will see Americans getting shot, and it will require some really, really heinous shit that has to be on video. Because if it's not on video, it won't radicalize people into saying, fuck no, I'm done with the Trump train shit. Like I'm walking away. So after that comes the elections, and ICE is staffing up. The goal of ICE in Stephen Miller's mind is to become the election police force. So that is what we are in for this year. So that is my forecast for the year of 2026. What happens in November, whether Republican members of Congress get so freaked out by what happened over the summer and governors that they start to oppose Trump in a way that they barely did in 2020, is yet to be seen. That is the reaction of Republican governors, members of Congress, and senators in November after the deaths of this summer, this coming summer. That's going to determine whether things get much fucking worse or things start to like grind to a messy halt.
Well, and I'll say, as somebody, I worked at Everytown for gun safety for a few years, so I've been in the gun violence world. Like Chris is exactly right. The summer is the worst. I mean, I was in we called it the summer of hell of shootings. When the year I was there, it was the white supremacists killing the 9 black churchgoers at the AME in Charleston. Mother Emanuel, and he got the gun illegally. And there's a whole bunch of other ones, and it's 100% true. I do not have any faith that any Republicans will stand up to him. I don't think any of. I think all of the ones that voted for impeachment, all 10 or 15, whatever it was, they're all gone. I don't like Susan Collins. Like, is she gonna be deeply concerned? Like, it's just like but so it's really important for people to film this stuff. It's really the world that we're in. And if you're afraid about voting on the ballot, like you are, like on day of, like you got to do your mail-in ballots or whatever. Like, I understand, but like really the only way we're getting out of this shit is through voting, which isn't a great answer. But that's why they're doing this, right? They're doing all these things and like floating like elections are not going to happen and whatever to like depress the vote. It's a scary situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is like what you guys do is not really my world necessarily. I grew up in a different space, and I'm adjacent to it. I went to the DNC for the first time in my life, when it happened last time, etc. But I'm still kind of getting my lay of the land. And so tell me if I'm wrong, because I know, Tim, you're like a legend in these spaces apparently, or something like that. A diehard, you know the shit. But like, I don't know how you guys feel, but like I'm deeply unimpressed with the Democratic Party, and I have been like for a while. And I'm like, I don't need something from Chuck Schumer on paper. For crying out loud, they wouldn't even get behind Zohran Mamdani. And how I feel, and again, please, this is your show, so you can tell me to shut the fuck up. I'm from New Jersey, I can take it. But it's like it's so, first off, I think that they screwed over Harris deeply by having Biden not drop out that long. How do you give Kamala Harris like 90 days or 100 days tops to take on MAGA?
107.
It's ridiculous. But I digress. But I look at like what's happening, and I just don't see the backbone that I think we need. I think like I look at the Working Families Party. I'm like, that's where I'm fucking going. I'm going WFP. Look, that's where I want to head. But I don't want to. At the same time, I know that we live in a two-party system right now. But at the same time, I'm wondering if this is finally the moment we can get some real fucking traction with some kind of alternate populist leftist movement, because I'm fed up.
So I agree with you 100%. And I have been in this world for a long time, but I've also I joined the Obama campaign, which was essentially an insurgent campaign in 2008. And it's hard to imagine that now. But like we went against the overwhelming assumptive or presumptive nominee Hillary Clinton. She was a Iraq war voter, but Obama wasn't in office, but he was against it. There's a bunch of reasons. I was a Zohran Mamdani supporter this time, and I'd actually worked for Andrew Cuomo for a little while, which is a terrible mistake. Well, I wanted to get back in the fight, and there wasn't really a lot of options in 2017, but I didn't support this garbage. And look, like Zoran's already delivered in, he's been very smart. We've expanded, like we have the best thing Bill de Blasio did when he was mayor, we got a 4K program for pre-K program. And then it was 4K, and then it was 3K. And now we're going to 2. He's already announced that. Like he worked with Kathy Hochul, who's no super progressive champion, who I also worked for a little bit. And, but nice lady, and she's getting better. But there's messages here, and like I put a video up on Threads the other day, and when Zoran went in front of the nurses are striking in New York City, that guy got like greeted like a fucking rock star. He comes down, he's walking by this 15,000 person crowd, and people are just cheering and yelling, and it's not because he is a democratic socialist, like Muslim mayor. It's because he is strong in his convictions. He is strong in his beliefs. And when he gave his inaugural address, he didn't do the stupid pivot to the center bullshit. He said he actually said something very controversial, and which was like, we are getting rid of the rugged individuality, which is a bullshit thing that's not real anyways, for collectivism.
Right.
And you know what?
Marxism alert, Marxism alert.
and then the Marxism turns into, if you have a 2-year-old, you get free daycare.
Exactly.
And actually in the other thing he did, which is a very uniquely New York thing, but like, he's like, I'm going to open more public restrooms because businesses get harassed and there's all this shit. It's $4 million. Like, in a multi-billion-dollar budget, it's not a big deal. And the reason I bring that up is the other person who has gotten a lot of kudos lately is Gavin Newsom, who is no democratic socialist at all. And he actually came on our show and was a great episode, but like, because he's standing up to Trump. There's different ways to do this, but I think, Tim, you're exactly right. And I'm not saying Gavin is the right presidential candidate, but like, stand up, stand for something. Be authentic and just fight. Like,
so I have to drop because I'm past my bedtime.
Yeah, same.
You're actually way past your bedtime.
But yeah,
I got kids, man. I'll be up early tomorrow.
So
all of us, we're in trouble.
My last thought is
we are.
that the silver lining to this really terrible fucking dark cloud that I'm predicting is like a lot of real chaos over the next years. And to be clear, I don't think the 2026 elections are going to fix shit. I think things are going to continue getting fucking worse for at least the 2 years that follow. What I do think is, through all of that suffering, and it will be suffering, the economy will suffer when our freedoms suffer, is that, let's not even call them Democrats. Let's call them people who appreciate democracy and fair representation will say, you know what, fuck this. We're going to act like the Civil War reconstructionists should have acted.
Yep.
We're going to be ruthless as fuck. And we are going to care about nothing but power. We're going to make DC a state. That's 2 more senators. We're going to make Puerto Rico a state. That's 2 more fucking senators. You think Puerto Rico is going to fucking go for Trump?
Right.
Right. Like they're not electing Republican senators. Like U.S. Virgin Islands, we'll make them a fucking state.
Guam.
Like we will fucking just clear the map. We'll take 9 Supreme Court justices, expand it to fucking 21. We'll make it so there's never another Republican control, right? And the way that we do that is we get rid of the filibuster. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We don't need, a Susan Collins or a Lisa Murkowski to be reasonable. We will no longer have to be worried about the Joe Manchins or the Kristen Sinema types. We will just say, we've got 50 and we've got the vice president. That's enough. Oh, now we have fucking 110 senators and we have a massive fucking majority. Like that is the way that we're going to agree. We're going to have to create new circuits because what do we have? 13 circuits? 9 circuits?
I was homeschooled.
Not
Don't ask
enough.
me.
We do not have enough circuit courts.
No, it's way low. Yeah.
We need to increase the number of circuit courts, more federal courts, more immigration courts, right? So the thing that is going to be good about all of this suffering is that people who care about democracy are going to care more about gaining power and leveraging that power as hard as they fucking can to crush the authoritarians.
I hate to talk like that because I don't like to sound like an extremist, but you're totally right. I mean, there's no other way out of this. We have to get people who we can trust with power to do the right thing,
right,
and then to relinquish that power when it's time for the sake of democracy, right? Because you're right. These authoritarians, they will not give a damn inch. That was one of my critiques with Gavin having Kirk on his show. He didn't challenge Kirk.
I hated.
I was like, dude, you're playing footsies with fascists. That's my opinion. But
no,
anyway,
you're right. No.
Yeah.
First of all, you're right. And we were critical of him on the show because I listened to 20 minutes. I had to turn it off because it was just a love fest, and I'm like, but Kirk's lying.
He's lying.
Lying.
I know we got to go. I got to go too. But last thought, Kirk sent out an email after that interview saying, "Patriot, I made Newsom concede on every major point." We moved into. I'm not kidding. Because
and he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And same thing with Cenk from the Young Turks. I was in the audience when he went to Turning Point and again tried to shake hands. I'm like, you don't shake hands with Christian nationalists. They think that you're evil. They want Muslims. They think that these people think that Muslims are the biggest threat to America right now. They're that delusional. All right, I'm done talking. It's 10:30 at night.
Well, anyways, guys, we are all going to pay for this tomorrow.
We are. We're in it together.
I just got the evil eye. So
you're ready. So go. Tim, Chris, thank you. Everybody, this was the longest one we've ever done. So and we went the whole gamut of shit tonight. So Tim, we're going to have you on the show because we really need to get you on the pod. But thank you guys. Thank you everyone for listening. If you haven't subscribed, please do it. And we have an episode tomorrow. Our episode tomorrow now, I'm sort of like, I don't know. We've covered so much ground tonight. But anyways, check out the podcast tomorrow. And we'll be back next week. Thanks, everyone.